You're listening to Beyond Insights, your go-to podcast for all things accounting, business, and technology.
From cybersecurity and AI innovations to sustainability and work-life balance, we've got you covered.
We host insightful guests from different backgrounds, industries, and locations all around the world.
From this diversity of thought, we aim to find solutions to some of our most pressing business problems.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in and go beyond insights. Hi everyone, and welcome to Beyond Insights. And today we are celebrating women in accounting. Why, you ask? Well, tomorrow in South Africa is Women's Day, and it's a day where we celebrate the amazing things that women have done in our country. And so today, in that spirit, we're here with an amazing woman in accounting to celebrate all the amazing things that women are doing in accounting. So my guest is Lornelle. So welcome, Lornelle.
Thanks for having me, Jody. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear from you. You are definitely one of the amazing women we need to celebrate in accounting.
Thank you.
So Lornelle, quick intro, is the founder and MD at Elite Advisory, and she started Elite Advisory as a side hustle from her dining room table. I read your case study. And since then, her business and her impact, because I know it's very important to you, has grown. And she became the first female-owned business with 0 platinum partner status in South Africa. So definitely a great achievement. So yeah, thank you again for joining. If you can maybe start us off with telling us a little bit about your background and how did you get into accounting and start Elite?
Okay, thanks for having me, Jody. I'm really excited to be here. Okay, so I'll do a quick, just some background about me. I'm the eldest of 3 daughters. Grew up in Kimberley, went to Kimberley Girls High. And I would say I never really knew what I wanted to be until I got an assignment. You remember we used to do life orientation in school?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, write about what you wanted to be. And everybody's like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer.
Okay, yeah.
So I said I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Jokes on me. My sister's one though. And I just remember saying like, okay, this is like not nice. Like, okay, I should have to think about what I wanted to do. And I don't know how, but like somehow, can't remember exactly what it was, but I really enjoyed accounting in school and I did really well in accounting. And yeah, then I was researching like what professions do people do that do accounting. I got, the CA qualification. And you won't believe, we had a PwC in Kimberley. Okay. I went to PwC and I was like, can you tell me more about this? Because there wasn't any real information about it. This is back in like 2004, 5. Okay, I'm giving away my age.
So young still, so young.
And then I went on to study, after I studied, went back to do my articles at PwC in Kimberley.
Fellow PwC, yeah?
Yeah, I always say like it's so strange. My friends and I always say you can tell when people come from PwC, there's like a certain trait or
get each
marker. And then worked at Liberty in internal audit for 2 years, moved to First Rand, worked there in internal audit. And yeah, so what actually pushed me into starting my own firm was really, for me, was a significant life event. In January of 2019, I had lost my little sister in a car accident. And what was very mind-blowing to me was, my sister and I had a 10-year age gap. So, when I went to varsity, she was like 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
So we would see each other over the holidays, and I know she really looked up to me at the time. But I remember with her funeral, right, there was like over 1,000 people there.
Sure.
And people would just tell stories of the things she would do, the impact that she had. And I kind of like had a moment of like, am I really living my most impactful life? Am I really making a difference? Because I really love, helping people, being able to make a change and an impact. And yeah, I was like, okay, cool, I'm an accountant. There are businesses that are coming to me asking me for advice. So that's where Elite was born, essentially.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I remember in our chats, impact was important. And now I can see why it's so close to your heart.
Yeah.
Because it really is like the beginning of what has become something awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe Elite, it's a very interesting name. Can you give us a little bit of insight into how that came to be?
People always think this is like interesting, but it's really not.
It's not a word I hear often. So
I was literally in the car driving from Kimberley to Joburg, and I was like, okay, what name do I want to give my practice, And I was like, okay, I wanted it to be different, right? So like unique, you know?
Okay.
And then I was like, but I wanted people who were our clients to feel like they were elite, you know?
Okay.
So then I was like, unique, elite, it's like, oh, elite.
Yeah,
That could work, right?
Yeah.
And then my mom subsequently said to me, oh, because my son, I've got a son and a daughter. Her name is Quinn and my son's name is Eli. So people automatically think
it's
I
your
took
kids.
their names and combined it. But no, actually it was just that we wanted to be, stand out, different in the way we do things, in the way we service our clients. So yeah, that's where the name comes from.
I like the impact, and then your name is kind of your values. You want to do things differently, and you want people to feel that they're very important.
Definitely.
And make an impact. I think those are definitely good foundations for any business.
Thanks, Jody.
So definitely something to learn there. So as I mentioned before, you were the first female Zero Platinum partner in South Africa. So how did you get from a dining room table to there, and what does it mean to you
Being
to
crazy.
be that?
Being
crazy. Cool. I think that's a good one. Yeah.
Taking a lot of risk, right? And I think, Jody, for me, if I look at it, impact is really the thing that drives me. And I've been fortunate enough to be part of really impactful projects that we've been able to work with, specifically with women-owned businesses. One of the projects that we were involved in was the Fund Her initiative by the AFDB. It's called AFAWA, their initiative. And we were able to, develop content, curate content where we could educate and train women-owned businesses in terms of how to manage, their finances, just the basics of running a sustainable business, because that's really one of the key, I would say, pillars of our purpose. We really try and educate business owners so that they are able to be more effective in terms of running a sustainable business. Because what we find is people are like, I'm great at baking cakes, right? Mm-hmm. But don't tell me about compliance, don't ask me about strategy, don't tell me about marketing. But it's almost saying, if I can bring it to your awareness, you'll think about your business differently. And you don't have to be in this position where you're just surviving. It's just a hobby. You can actually run a sustainable business from this, support your family and employ more people. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I think based on that, drive that we had, when opportunities do come, I don't say no. Partnerships is very important to me as well. If I look at, the masterclasses that we've been able to run for SMMEs, financial education is very important for me because it's a big gap. We always say we need to educate, but we don't educate in a practical way.
Yes.
If I sit with, one of the topics that's always very famous when I have masterclasses is provisional tax.
Okay.
And when I sit with most business owners in the room, when we always ask them a question, how many of you guys do have an accounting software or at least some sort of system? It's 1 or 2 hands, so 9 to 8% of them always, it's a consistent theme. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of them are saying that, yes, I have an accountant, but I don't really know what they do. Right. To be honest with you, I had a conversation with a client today where I literally had to explain to them this financial year end that's on your CIPC document actually dictates when you file returns, basic things like that.
They
right?
Don't know,
we think they're not asking to understand debits and credits. It's about understanding what are the things that impact your business and how you run it. We've been able to be fortunate to have worked with Alan Gray in that regard, hosting our masterclasses at their events so that it's accessible to women-owned businesses and other SMMEs as well. So, yeah.
Amazing. I'm also very passionate about practical education, so get me excited when you talk about that. And I think another thing that stood out for me there was I think we undervalue our knowledge as accountants. So we a current ratio is so simple. You learn that in high school, right? But people don't know what that means. They learned it in high school, but they don't realize that actually that's crucial for the success of their business. Just knowing things to look at. We have all this knowledge that, as you say, can help businesses succeed.
Yeah.
So on that, we're talking about women, and from what you've explained, a lot of the things you're focusing on are women and empowering women. So why are you so passionate? I mean, besides the fact that, we're women, besides that fact, why are you so passionate about, focusing in on women and trying to help them grow their businesses?
I think I watched a video yesterday, interestingly enough, where I think it was a Metro FM interview where they were discussing this thing about, but the conversation was around why is it that are women still comfortable dating men who are earning less than them, like this dynamic? But what the insights from that conversation was that there's a perception that women in today's day and age are very economically empowered, right? Okay. But we are actually earning less per R1 of what males are getting paid, right, than we were like maybe 10 years ago, right? So if we think about it, the impact you have on empowering a woman in business impacts her children, impacts her community, and she'll probably, also women entrepreneurs are more successful. There's an article, we can share it, share it. But like women just have this perseverance and the tenacity to be able to, really, I would say, not be afraid of taking a risk, and they have the grit and the willpower to see it through. And I really think, especially in terms of inclusivity, it's important that we also focus on women and also allowing them the space to be able to, achieve their dreams, because I think we still have a long way to go. Because I always say we really don't know what goes on in the mind of a woman. If she's a mother and she shows up at work, if she's a mother and she's running a business, there's so many open tabs, in her head that's like, I need to do this. And I really think the little bit that we can do is making sure that, we are educating them, we are providing them with opportunities to be able to set them up for success and to be able to impact not just, I would say, the immediate families, but also the communities around them.
No, for sure. I think, if you're coming back to your, I think key principle is impact, right? So if you can help grow a small business, it'll be great. And if that small business happens to be run by a woman, there's definitely that additional impact as well. And I think, so obviously you're an entrepreneur and you're a very successful one, so that's awesome, but you're also an accounting professional. And I think maybe you could just share some of the challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur, but also as kind of studying accounting, because I think those are two key things that, globally there's a shortage of accountants and entrepreneurship is always scary, but I think for women as well, what challenges do they face, from your experience getting into those two fields, and what encouragement, I'm giving you a very long question here, I'll remind you later, what encouragement can you kind of give them to, go for it kind of thing?
Okay, sure. Okay, let me think about entrepreneurship first and I'll come back as a professional, because my articles was probably like one of the most taxing times.
That's articles. I think it's always like that.
Okay, so I would say as an entrepreneur, let me just talk about some of the challenges I really faced, right? If I think about when I started Elite and when I was running Elite, I really didn't have a community of entrepreneurs that I could be like, hey, I'm doing this. I was literally telling someone when I was deciding on my prices on how much I would charge clients, I literally Googled what is everybody else charging, and I charged that. Until I realized okay, that's actually not supposed to how it works, right? I think very quickly early on I realized, yes, I'm an accountant. Because remember, I was auditing in external audit, and then I went to internal audit, right? I was like, I know how these things work. I audit HR, I audit all of these things, but actually doing it, the people who are actually running, the CEOs of businesses in big corporates, they are actually the people that are sitting with the major risk, right? We probably have the same level of stress. But I think that for me, it was really just a matter of saying, I wish I had a community. I wish I had people that I could call very early on to be like, can you hold my hand? Can you help me? And it's not even about helping you make the money, but for example, when do I move into an office space? When do I hire an employee? How to hire? I don't know how to hire, Jody. I've burned my fingers quite a bit there, but I've literally learned, and I think what it would have helped me a lot is if I had that person that I could pick up the phone and call. I got the support, I would say, after I kind of established a name for myself as an entrepreneur, if that makes sense. But I still found that it was really the challenges that you'll probably face if you're a woman in business. It's literally you're on your own. Entrepreneurship is scary. I think most of the time we're like, yeah, great. No, guys, it's not as what people are portraying it to be. And I think when we paint a more realistic picture of what it does look like, people would be less afraid to do it because then they know exactly what they're getting into. Yeah. And yeah, it's one of my desires, hopefully, soon, that you can like have a circle where people can just come together and just share ideas. Because sometimes it's not even the like making the money or getting the clients, it's just like your mental health as well.
It's someone to chat to. So I was in audit before as well, and what I really loved about being in audit, obviously you work crazy hours and stuff, but you have a manager group and you can just like vent and communicate. And sometimes when you leave that and go into other positions, all of a sudden you lose those people that get you, like they've also been there and stuff. And I mean, in a company, there's probably one or two other people, but when you're an entrepreneur, you're all alone.
It's literally like you in a desert. Okay,
yeah.
I'm over exaggerating, but okay.
Being dramatic. But I think,
but I mean, Jody, like the community aspect is very big. So I would say like, reach out to people, have a coffee. Sometimes it's just like, sometimes you don't need, people always say, I need funding. Elite has had very to no little funding, right? Like very little, right? And it would be like loans from family and friends to be like, guys,
we need to make it through this month.
Customers didn't pay. But like really, I think sometimes you just actually need somebody to help you guide to find a solution. So I would say from an entrepreneurship perspective, that is what I would definitely say. And then as a professional, I actually have to say this, and I think my mentor, that I've had since varsity, she told me once that one of her biggest sponsors in corporate was other men. So they would open up opportunities, they would refer, they would recommend. And I think in corporate, I experienced the same. It was always the men that I had that I was reporting to, that very few people that were women would open the door. I think there's definitely that element. I'm sure people can relate to it, even if they look at it. You do get those people, but they're far and few between.
Okay.
But I also think the reason why we don't have more of them is because there's not that, equality in terms of the positions that women hold to be able to influence. And in terms of challenges that I experienced as a professional, I think that with the development of tech, it's been amazing. But what I do find, though, is a lot less people want to study accounting because they think it's boring, right? They think like we're just sitting behind a desk and crunching numbers. And I really think technology has made it more interesting, and I really would encourage more people to study accounting. Obviously, it's hard.
Yeah. But most things that are worth doing in life are not easy.
Definitely.
So I think on that, I have a question on both. So you're talking about entrepreneurs needing someone to chat to, and kind of, as you said, it's not all about money. It's about kind of using the little money you have wisely and having guidance on that. And then professionals think accounting is boring. So from what I know, you Elite Advisory, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of, in my opinion, the most exciting thing that accountants can do.
Yeah.
And almost that that business and entrepreneurs need, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can kind of tell us a bit about, why you love advisory. What does it mean? Like, what superpower do women have in advisory?
I think, Jody, like I love advisory because I think in advisory you can really almost like showcase your superpower. Like, I know what this number means and I know how to help you make better decisions, right? I think for us as Elite, even with us using SIFT, we recently had a client come from another, join us recently in the past 3 months. And she literally does not want to look at a report.
Okay.
Right? She doesn't want to look at the numbers. It bores her to that extent in terms of the detail. But what she loved was when we were discussing the management reports, obviously we use SIFT. Yes. But like, the dashboard was like, she was so excited. She was like, Lornelle, I have ratios. And then I would explain to her, this is why your cash flow is suffering. This is why. It's because there's an over-reliance on one of the customers. We should look at what are the measures. So it starts creating an avenue for you to have other types of conversations. It's not just, your debits and your credits. Here's your statement of financial position. Because I think a lot of people in business still limit us to, we're just there to prepare a set of financials, right? Yes. But there's so much value that we can add. What I love about advisory is that it's allowed me to be able to really display the knowledge and the skill that I have. And then, Jody, a word of the day.
Yeah.
Impact. Like
100%.
you can see, like literally there are clients that literally get excited when we have our management account meetings. They're like, what's my dashboard looking like this month? Have we improved? And what I love about that is because they almost feel like they've been empowered to go and make decisions. And that's when they value the relationship much more. So I think definitely from an accounts perspective, we should be moving towards being more of advisors. I know people feel afraid to make that shift, but there are tools that make it easier for you to use. And I think even as accountants, we will enjoy that more because we study all of this in school and you're just like, but when am I ever going to use it? And now you get to actually say to people, when your liquidity is a problem, there are different factors, right? What does debtors days mean?
Yes.
Right? And when you explain that to people, you're like, if your debtors days is 60 and your creditors, you're paying them in less than 30, it means that you're actually financing.
The graph is going to look bad.
Basically. But the ones, let me tell you, Jody, the ones that my clients always laugh at, because with the SIFT reports, there's the income versus expenses on the accrual, and then there's cash in, cash out, right?
Yes.
They're always like, but Lornelle, why does that graph look so nice? And this one now, I show them like this graph, it's good for the income to always be exceeding,
sure.
but obviously
It's
the
not
cash
enough.
element is very important in terms of that. So I think even in terms of cash flow management and cash management,
it's crucial. No, and I think that's because I deal with accounting education and I'm very passionate because I think being an accountant is like the most important job. Like obviously 100%. Doctors are very important, of course, but imagine a doctor that doesn't have good cash flow, so he can't pay his house off and so he ends up on the streets. I'm being dramatic here, right? But it's like accountants enable business and business enables jobs and like it's this whole thing, and so I feel like hopefully accountants out there are listening and they will be inspired. But I think that is, if we can communicate how important what we do is, firstly it will make us actually more excited about it,
100%.
but also hopefully others will be like, oh wow, that's actually what we're supposed to be doing. And then also impact, like especially since I've joined SIFT, I see that just, as you said, just small things can literally take a business from being on the brink of collapse to being successful because we just have this data that we can share. So I think maybe the other thing in that line, you say you need to have good tech, right? So we're not going to talk about SIFT now because that's not the point of the podcast, but you are a Zero Platinum partner and I know you're very passionate about cloud and you said it's important. So what kind of role does that have for clients and accountants maybe thinking of starting out? Like how should they think about that?
Okay, Jody, I'm very practical. So I'll make an example. We recently had a client come to us and they've got about 180 employees.
Okay.
And they were doing it all on Excel.
Cool.
Like, let's just process that.
I'm having a little internal nightmare.
Numbers.
No.
Okay,
dying inside.
So literally, if we think about it, and guess who was the person that brought forward the idea? It was the accounts lady, the internal accountant saying, we need to digitize. There's a better way of doing it, right?
Yes.
And I think even for us as accountants, like there's a lot more work-life balance. We've got clients that we have overseas that we can service. It's like it really opens up so much opportunities for you, but also there's so much value you can add to your clients. For example, when we finished the training with her, she was just like, "Thank you for saving my life." She's like, now month end is not going to be a process. Now I'm not going to stress. We automated their payroll. We brought them onto Zero. The invoicing that used to take her, she literally would do customer statements manually.
Oof, no.
Imagine on Excel.
No.
Imagine taking invoice and being like on the bank statement, checking the payment.
No.
Literally. And for me, that's the difference that tech makes.
Yes.
It gives you back time for you to be able to do things that you're really passionate about.
Yes.
And also give you other opportunities to make money.
Yes, 100%.
It's not just like...
Yeah, and like time, because no one actually wants to do that job. Like that's why people don't want to study accounting, because they think they have to do that.
100%.
And also, I'm not sure if you had this, but I had that one day where you forgot to save Excel. Can you imagine? You've been working for 4 hours.
Brings back very traumatic memories.
You're showing me traumatic things as well. But yeah, okay, cool. So cloud is super important tech, and I think that's something you're also sharing about your other, like the workshops you do as well.
Yeah.
So maybe just, sorry, I'm trying to think here. Maybe if you can just share, some like impactful things. Oh, lost my train of thought now. So cloud's important. Accountants, we make a big impact. And at those masterclasses, you share this with entrepreneurs, right? So they can hopefully learn from it. Do you have any like cool standout stories or key things that happened at those masterclasses, or like I know you mentioned some of the knowledge gaps, but like any key kind of knowledge gaps that entrepreneurs should be focusing on?
Okay, so I'll maybe do one example in terms of like accountants, and then I'll talk about entrepreneurs.
Cool.
So recently, I received like a lot of requests from accountants who were either like half in the cloud, half on desktop. Everybody's like, can we have a coffee and can you tell me how, you know, I can go about this? So I was like, okay, let me just organize an event.
Makes sense.
I'm good at it. So yeah, so I mean, it was nerve-wracking for me, to be honest, to organize as like a professional organizing an event for other professionals. But I also felt like it was an important conversation to be held by someone who's in the industry and is actually doing it, because maybe people would be more receptive of it as opposed to like a SIFT having a conversation because they're like, it's the software.
Yeah, we're trying to sell something.
Do you really know my struggles, right? And I would say one of the things that I think accountants who are in practice need to make is the shift of being an entrepreneur. Yes. When you are in practice, you're not an accountant. When you're running your practice, you are an entrepreneur. So you need to be working on the business and not in the business, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of them are still stuck in that. And one of the things that I can tell you is a lot of them say to me, Lornelle, marketing is so important. Like, we're so afraid of like even posting things on LinkedIn. And I'm like, it's literally you saying, I'm running a business, I've got a bird's eye view, and marketing is very important. In the day and age that we're in terms of social media, that's where you can get your potential employees, that's where you can build connections and partnerships, that's where you can probably find other opportunities. But if you're sitting there behind, you know, a LinkedIn profile that's like not updated, or there's like no profile.
Oh, I need to learn from this.
I just think like it's something that we really just have to embrace as accountants, you know. From that perspective. And one of the stories was literally like someone saying, Lornelle, from one of the masterclasses we had in Cape Town, we had Nagging Panda there, Ilan,
he's cool.
And they were like, Lornelle, we struggled to get people to pay us on time. I mean, we even told people like, it's okay to fire clients, like if it doesn't work for you. And the thing is, that scares people. They're like, no, we just need to hold on. But then it comes back to this value-based conversation of providing value, being the advisor, and people seeing the value in that and paying for that. People saying, you know what? I now no longer have to stress about being paid because I've now got tech that saves me time, and I can now put that and I can now have 10 more clients. So it's this literally somebody saying, I've had this pain point, it's my debtors, how do I keep control of it? And them coming to a masterclass and them implementing something.
Amazing.
It's been amazing. For entrepreneurs, it's literally the story that I shared. Like they come and they literally, some of them are just like, Lornelle, we're tired of doing this Excel thing. And then it opens up other opportunities for them to say, what else can we automate in our business? What other opportunities can we explore? Some of my clients, literally, one of our clients who's an advocate, he said to me recently, he's like, Lornelle, I can see the big difference that we've made, you know, in terms of even his ability to generate more revenue. Like he's making twice as what he made last year, you know, just being able to have a look at that number, setting targets, right? And I think it's when you see people getting excited about hitting those numbers, hitting those targets, having a bigger goal other than just, oh, it's SARS, you know, because literally they're just like, and just taking that off of their hands. It's really important. The one thing I wanted to say is that I found that even though we are in the cloud, a lot of accountants, if we talk specifically about Xero, because we're a Xero partner, I always say to people, Xero, the software is made for the end user. It's not made for us as the accountants, right? If you think about it, who's supposed to be doing the invoicing? The client.
Yes.
They're supposed to be using the software.
Yes.
So I still see a lot of them being on the cloud, but they're not empowering the client to use the software,
themselves.
right?
Okay.
So bring us the slips, email it, don't put it on HubDoc, help them download the app on their phone, empower them, right?
Yes.
And show them that the software is actually supposed to be used by them, and you literally partner with them on it to help them then do the reporting. And that's the biggest thing that we do. We literally tell our clients, it's not our software. It's made for you. It's made for the end user. This is how you can pull a report. This is how you can pull, like, for example, a bills to pay report to literally have like a payment schedule and run it. And then when they use the software, it's not like, oh, it's for my accountant. It's an accounting software. I always say to people, it's not. It's literally made for the end user. So I would say that's one of the other things I would want accountants to just take note of.
And now we have spoken for too long, so I have to just thank you for joining. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I think we need to have about 7 more of these.
Definitely.
But I hope that you learned that women can be awesome and that accounting's awesome. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.